lost in your past, in the tangible world, in the physical world, Miss Sue lost money. But she might have gained something different. She gained a big brother for those kids. She gained something. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I was able to minister to them that summer. Even though I was lost, I was broken at that time too. I tell you, I was all messed up. I was captain of the idiots that summer.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I didn't have an opportunity to pour into their lives, because Jesus was still doing something through me even though I was lost. So let's just talk about that real quick. Like, God is doing something in your life even though you may have been lost in the past. Like, he was still working through that situation even though you didn't know it yet. He was still preparing you for something even though you didn't know it yet.
Good, Lance.
Yeah, man, so Miss Sue might have gained something that now I get to minister to their kids. And now I talk to, you know, the one kid is in college now. He's at University of Maine. And, man, it's so cool. She messaged me one time and she said, Lance, you wouldn't believe the impact you've had on Sean. He spoke to our school the other day about insecurities. And they go to a Catholic school. And she says, she always talks about the things that you say on your Instagram and how he follows you. And like, that made me, that was like 7 or 8 years ago. He was a little boy. And he continued to follow me in my journey. And he got to speak about insecurities in his own life to his Catholic school. It was so cool. So you don't know what God is doing, even when you don't know what God is doing. You don't even know. I didn't know what he was doing then. Like, I just had good morals and values growing up. My parents raised me the right way. Like, they just raised me the right way. They put me into church. That doesn't mean I paid attention.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And praise God that they did that. Right? You know, Jimmy, we had great parents. We were blessed. We were blessed. They were doing some things with us, but I didn't know what they were doing. And God's going to use that. And man, you know, I was just so excited to come here when Dustin, he told me what I was going to talk about. And he's like, Lance, I need you to bring a word about what it takes. I was like, okay, what it takes. I've never spoke on what it takes. I speak a lot on identity, which is I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But he's like, I need to know what it takes to go to the next level, to live a major league life, to live a next level life.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Man, I've been praying about this for a while, you guys, a couple weeks now. God's been working on my heart to share something with you. And for a while, I was just thinking, you know what I'm going to talk about? What it takes to get to the next level. I'm going to talk about habits. I'm going to talk about discipline. I'm going to talk about hard work. I'm going to talk about the grind, the 2 days you just went through.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm going to speak about. And then, you know what? I got convicted. In my heart, I was like, something was telling me, tapping on my shoulder, Lance, they can get that on YouTube. Lance, they can get that on YouTube. You didn't go all the way to Alabama to talk about habits and discipline. I didn't come all the way from Phoenix to talk to you guys about habits and discipline that you can get on YouTube.
Come on.
I came to talk about the secret. And there's a secret that you guys don't know about how to live a major league life. There's a secret that I didn't know my whole life. And I want to ask you a question. What do you guys think the secret is to live a major league life? To live a fulfilled life? To fulfill your dreams? Anybody here, I want you to raise your hand. I want to ask you, like, what do you think the secret is to success? What do you think that secret is? What do you got? What do you think the secret is? Yep, even the Braves hat, my man. Okay, so he said I had no idea, but his message was, I'm honest.
Yes. Yes.
Come on, bro, you're honest. I like that. Anybody over here, what do you think the secret to success is? What do you got?
That's good.
Let's give her the mic.
Yeah.
Faith, yes, that's good. That's good. Anybody else? Over right here. What do you think the secret is? Wow. Dude, they might already had the secret. How about you, man? What's your coach say? The secret. What does he talk about? He talks to you guys every single day of 2 days. Being disciplined. Those are all good things. Faith, God, being disciplined. Those are all good things. Like, you're going to need all of them to attain your dreams, obtain your ultimate purpose and your calling. You're going to need all of them. I promise you. But the secret that I wanted to tell you guys today, the secret is, now lean in. The secret admit that you have weakness. When I was coming up, when I was going through it, when I was going through high school, state championships, national championships, like we won those. I got recruited to play Division I, okay? Top 7% in the country go on to play in the NCAA. 7% of all high school athletes go on to play in the NCAA. 7%. Okay? And then I kept on going, and I made it to professional. I got drafted. That's 1.5% in the entire United States of high school athletes. 1.5%. I was able to do that. And I thought that whole time I was strong. I thought that whole time I'm going to do this. It's going to be my strength. It's going to be my courage. This is my life. This is it. But what I didn't know is I needed to admit I was weak in order for me to become stronger. And when we admit our weakness, being a Christian is it actually admitting our pitfalls, actually admitting how weak we are, that we need a Savior. We need somebody to lift us up. We need Jesus. That's what we're saying. We say, I have so much weakness, I have so much guilt, I have so much heavy things that I'm carrying, that I need you, Jesus. Because even on my best day when I was growing up, even on my best day when I was going to the league, even on my best day when I was throwing 97 miles an hour with a slider, even on those best days where I thought I was strong and courageous, I'll take this. Listen, I stepped up to that mound. I stepped up at the University of Minnesota. I signed that professional contract. And I had that check, Seattle Mariners, Lance Thonvold. It came to me every 2 weeks. That strength that I had then, that is nothing compared to the weakness when I finally surrender. Because I'll take me being so weak and scared with God's strength and God's courage and His fearlessness, because I want Him to fight my battles. I'm so much stronger on my weakest day with God than I ever was on my best day in my own strength. That's right. That's right. So what I'm talking about today is being weak. Like, let's be weak enough to surrender. And let Him guide us. Let God guide us. Let Him use His strength. And His strength. Now, I can remember this time. North Dakota State was coming to the town. This was my draft year. Like, all the scouts had been calling me. Lance, you're going to go in the top 10 rounds. I just had a great freshman season. So a lot of scouts were on me to go to the next level, to get drafted, fulfill my dreams. And I remember at that time that I was struggling that year. North Dakota State came in, we should have beat them pretty bad, right? And I came into the game, I kept giving up. I gave up a home run, gave up a double, I gave up a couple walks, right? Coach took me out of the game. That was a really, really hard moment for me. And that kind of portrayed the entire rest of the season. I didn't get drafted that year. I had a lot of failure. The coach didn't use me a lot that season. Okay, I had to fight back. But what I realized in that year, I was fighting on my own. I was fighting on my own. I was finding ways to cope with my failure. I was finding ways to cope with my anxiety about my future. I was finding ways to use workouts and use alcohol and use whatever else it was to drown out my pain and what I was going through at that time. And that's how I self-medicated. That's how I coped without Jesus. There's something you're doing right now that you're using a coping mechanism, right, that isn't Jesus. You're trying to flood something over your life and cover up these stains and cover up this heart with something else. And sometimes it looks like productive stuff. Those workouts that I do, I worked out 2 times a day because I was so afraid of the future. I was so afraid if I didn't get it. I had to go mask that insecurity. I had to go mask that fear with the workouts to make myself feel like I was fulfilling my dream. Right? So there's something that you might be doing right now to cover up this stain. And the only thing to fill that heart is Christ. The only thing to fill it is God. And on my way up to the majors, on my way up to getting to where I wanted to go, I was in my own strength. It wasn't until I was on my way out. It wasn't until I was on my way out that I truly found the major league life. Until I truly found the major league life. And for me, I didn't make it to the major leagues until I was on my way out of baseball. I didn't make it to the major leagues until I was on my way out of baseball. And what God started to show me, he's like, Lance, you think Major Leagues was a destination. It was a mindset. You think Major Leagues was a destination, Lance? It's a mindset. He said, you might not have made it there because of your injuries, because of your trials, because of all the crap I had to go through. I'm going to talk about that at 2 o'clock later. I'll tell you my whole story. He's like, you might not have made it to the Major Leagues. You might not have got to the 40,000. Like you thought you were going to pick up your mitt and pitch in front of 40. He's like, I wanted you to pick up the mic and speak in front of whoever. Because these hearts and souls out here don't just want to watch you so you can build your ego. These hearts and souls out here are out here so you can build them up. And I'm going to use you and I'm going to break you down to nothing so that I have to build you up into something. And God's trying to do that with you in whatever your situation is. Right? And you might have think like your whole life's been pretty good. Like your whole life's been pretty good. Like you've got this thing figured out. He wants to still use you. He wants to still use you through that. He can use you to minister to other people and encourage. So today, real quick, we're going to talk about the Major League life and the mindset that it takes. And I got an acronym for you guys called MAJORS. Like, y'all want to go to the majors? Yeah. That's right. We got to stop living in the minors. We got to stop living with a minor league mindset. Like, we got to miss that. So the majors, for me, I'm going to give you an acronym. For that M is you are more than your bio. M in majors is you're more than your bio. Like we get these social media bios and we get to tell everybody all about us. This is what I do. This is who I date. This is the cryptocurrency I trade. How many people doing that now? And I look at those bios and I go like, oh, but Lance, you were such a slave to it. How much did I love my bio when it said professional athlete? How much did I cling to that? How much did I like that image? Like, you're more than this bio in life. You're more than a teacher. You're more than all the labels that we put on ourselves. And how many of you guys been to the grocery store and you go, I love protein bars, right? My wife is super into like organic stuff. Like she was just telling me this morning, she's like, Lance, but my new sourdough starter didn't work out. I'm like, babe, it's okay, you get it the next time. But she's all about like these organic ingredients, so I become a little bit more picky about what I eat and what I bring home. Because if I bring it home and it's not right, like it's going in my truck or it's going in the trash. And so I started looking at all these protein bars, right? I'm picking them out. There's like 300 of them now at the grocery store. And I'm picking them out, and I see this one. I'm like, peanut butter chocolate bar. That looks great. That looks great. Like, look at the front of the label. Look at the image. Look at the marketing that they've done. Oh my gosh, peanut butter chocolate, 12 grams of protein, got good carbs, only 120 calories. Boom, you got that image. But then you turn that sucker over, and you look at the ingredients. You ever look at the ingredients of a protein bar? It's like this big. In like 6-point font, Times New Roman. 6-point font. And you're looking at polydextrose, glycerin, like rosemary extract. Like I don't see anything that says peanut butter chocolate or protein. So like how hard in this life are we working on our image? Like we are working on the perception of who we are harder than we're working on our ingredients. Because when my wife makes the peanut butter chocolate bar, it's peanut butter, it's seeds, it's oats, and it's chocolate. And she throws it in the oven, and she takes it out, and that's what's in it. It's homemade. It's not processed. So when did we become this life where all we care about is this image? Like how much are we working on this heart? How much are we working on this soul? So for the M, it's more than your bio. Like quit working so much on your image. Start working on you. Start working on your ingredients. What God is trying to do in your life. He's trying to clean you up. He's trying to clean you up. He's trying to make sure that you know that you're homemade. Like you're not processed. You don't got to be like everybody else. Like you're homemade. You're original. You're brand new. God's doing something in you that He's never done before. Like we don't got to imitate everybody else. Like let's be something different in this life. So you're more than your bio. Number 2 is the A. Is attitude and advice. Okay? Your attitude dictates everything. How you show up dictates everything. Who you are to other people dictates everything. Like, when you're going spaces and you have an expectation, it's going to be one thing, and then it becomes another. You guys ever had like expectation? Yeah. And you think it's going to be one way and you show up and it's not? You got to check your attitude right then and there. Check it. Okay, maybe my expectation wasn't met here, but is there something greater that could happen because of this situation? So how you show up matters. Like, are you going to be a light in this darkness? Are you going to be a light in the world? Are you going to be a light on your team? Speaking to all you kids right now, you have an opportunity to be the encourager. You have the opportunity to not be a part of the subculture on the team, the subculture in the classroom that's always talking smack, that's always complaining. Like, complaining is easy. Complaining is the easy way out. Making excuses is the easy way out. Doing 9 sprints instead of 12 is the easy way out. Not finishing all your reps is the easy way. Having somebody else do your homework is the easy way. Using Spark Notes is the easy way. Spark Notes. Guilty. Speaking to myself every time. And the other is advice. Advice. You want to have a major league life? You want to know what it takes? What wisdom are you seeking? Who are you getting advice from? Think about that. Dustin just talked about this. Because there's certain things that are for you that are not for everybody else. I got this friend named Brian. Brian's such a good Christian. He's such a good motivator. He's such a good encourager. He's such a good man. Brian has a great heart for Christ. Brian always comes to me, and I feel honored. I feel honored. He calls me all the time. Lance, what should I do here? Lance, I'm not that older than him. I don't know why he sees me as that person, but he does. And it's a blessing. I'm honored when he calls me. He goes, real quick, Lance, I got a question. I know we're going to be on the phone for 15 minutes. And maybe it's because he knows I seek the one who gives out wisdom. And I seek the Father every single morning. These aren't my words, these are his words, right? And he knows that. So he called me the other day. He's making a big life decision. He just got married. His wife is not pregnant. He's got a good job at Carvana, pays him pretty well. And he's like, Lance, I have it, but he's really into fitness. He's had his own business before. He's worked with other business owners in fitness and helping people get healthy and doing boot camps and stuff like that. Really cool, like super encouraging. And he calls me, he's like, Lance, I got this opportunity. He's like, you hooked me up with this nutrition coach that's helped me so much. He offered me a job. He offered me to get 50% commission as well as do this base salary. It's less money than what I'm making at Carvana, but I see huge potential here, and it's my purpose, Lance. I really feel like this is what I'm called to do, to encourage. I was like, okay, Brian, what's the problem? Like, you should leave. You should go do that. He's like, well, I'm going to have to get off health insurance at my old job, and my wife's pregnant. I was like, okay. Like, doesn't your wife works at the school? She's got health insurance, right? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So what are you worried about? He's like, well, you know what it really is? He's like, it's all these people around me that are telling me not to do it. It's my in-laws. It's my parents. It's all these people saying no. Like, don't jump now. And I'm like, Brian, you got to realize like how pure the advice you're seeking is and their intentions. They got one pair of lens on from their life. They got one lens, okay? And they can see down this path of their life and their decisions of what they've done and their conversations with God and what God is doing in their life. But if they're not where you want to be or you wouldn't flip places with them, why are you seeking advice from them? Like, God has given you a promise that nobody else has. Like, God has been speaking to you a different way. Like, your dream, your vision, it's not for everybody else. I stopped seeking advice from people that I didn't want to trade places with. I stopped seeking advice from people that I didn't think where I wanted to be. Like, they weren't where I wanted to be. I stopped telling them Because these conversations that I was having with God, they're not for everybody else. And the conversations Brian was having with God wasn't for everybody else. Because God knows the impact that Brian can make being in that space, taking a little bit of a pay cut right now so that he can prosper later. Because God's going to ask you to do things that the world says are silly. He's going to ask you to do things that are silly. Like you look in at his life and you go, Brian, but you're going to take a pay cut, your wife is pregnant. Brian, you're going to get off health insurance, your wife is pregnant. Brian, you're going to have an income that's not promised. But Brian. And I said, but Brian, but God has told you to move.
Yeah.
God has told you to do the things you're supposed to do. So be careful the advice that you're seeking. Like, seek the person that you want. Like, if I need to go for advice, I'm going to seek it from Dustin. If I need to go for advice, I'm going to seek it from another speaker. If I need to go from advice, I need to seek it from somebody that's gone down the path that I want to go down, that has a life that I want to become, that has the vision that God's already given them 10 years ago, and they're already living in that life. That's the path I want to go down, so they can already see the plan and the purpose that it's going to take for me to get there. That's the advice I want to seek.
That's right. Because
it's bigger than what someone's lens is on. And we're not saying we need to diminish other people's life. I'm not saying that. Because that's the plan that they've been given. Because maybe what somebody else has who can't see your vision, now we're getting deep. Maybe that plan was 12 times bigger than their plan when they were growing up.
Right.
Maybe they lived in poverty, so if they have this job security now and they're taking care of their family, that's a blessing. That's huge to them. So don't diminish somebody else because they're not willing to see your vision. The vision is for you. It's for you and God. Like, there's certain things I don't tell my family anymore. Like, they don't need to be all up in my business anymore. The financial decisions that I make. The courses that I decide to join. The money that I decide to spend. Because from a worldly perspective, those things could look risky or dangerous. But to God, they're responsible.
Come on.
To God, they're responsible. Because He wants you to steward His gifts. He wants you to use what He's given you. So be careful on that advice. Give me 1 second.
Good.
I didn't know this was coming.
Yeah.
Living water. Praise. Praise. Everybody stand up real quick. That was a lot. Stand up. Here's a major league tip. So, before every one of my outings, so I was a bullpen pitcher, right? I had to get hyped up before the game. Like, I would be called upon in the 7th with 2 outs and bases loaded, right? So whenever you're nervous, that just means you want to perform. So don't run away from nervousness, but you can harness it and control it, okay? So one thing that I used to do before I went out into a big situation, I would try to go into a place where nobody was watching or could see me. So in the bullpen, that's pretty easy to hide, right? So what I would do, I would go find a spot, and I'd do my little stretches. I'd pretend I'd be stretching, right? But what I was really doing, I was preparing my mind. So if you got something big coming up in your life and you're a little bit nervous, you can get into what's called a power position. If you change your state, you can change the way you feel. Okay, so I used to get in the power position, then you kind of hyperventilate. You give yourself 3 good deep breaths through your nose, out your mouth. Okay, so you go 1, 2, 3, just like that. Go with me. That changes your state. It changes how you feel. And right then and there, I grab my mitt, I go bang, 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 let's go. Grip that ball. Let's get it. And I knew that if I changed my state, you can sit down. If I changed my state, I would change the way that I feel. So that's just a major league tip, okay? You can use that in anything. Like sometimes in presentations, I need that. Sometimes before the test. Like sometimes I'll be in these high school bathrooms, like there's pee on the floor, and I'm doing this. Like, ooh, God, you're going to move, right? So just use that little thing. So the J in majors, now we're talking. The J in majors, justification is our jail. We justify our sin. We justify our actions. We justify our laziness. We justify why our life isn't the way it is. We justify why we can't forgive. We justify all of these different things in life. And when you get to jail, I don't know this, but when you get to jail, you know what they take? Your freedom. You don't have ownership of your life anymore. So when you justify, you gave up your ownership. And I think the Bible verse is James 4:17. I know you know this one. Justification is doing things that we want to do, even though we know what's better for us, even though we know it's not right. And we still decide to do them. Like, let's miss that. Let's get rid of justification in our life. Let's start to take ownership. So in order to do that, you need to surrender. You got to surrender that lie you're telling yourself. You got to surrender what it is that you're going through. You got to surrender that sin, right? And you got to admit it. You just say it out loud. I admit it. Like, I admit that I was wrong. I admit that I haven't forgiven yet. I admit that I'm lazy. I admit that I don't have the life I want. So you surrender it, you admit it, and then you own it. You take ownership of your life. Take ownership of your life, bro. Own it. Now. Own it. Take ownership of that thing that you're trying to justify. Why haven't I gotten in shape yet? Oh, you know what? I don't have the money for the organic food. I haven't built my gym out yet. I haven't X, Y, Z. Or I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go look at these images online. I'm going to go talk to this woman more than I should, even though I'm married. But, wait, hold on. Even though I'm married and I'm committed to this woman, but you know what? I'm going to go talk to her and be really nice and almost a little bit flirtatious. Because we're struggling at home, or we just haven't covered up, or we haven't uncovered what has been covered up, and we justify that. Like, oh, she's not treating me right. And then you go be friendly and nice to somebody else. So don't justify, because that puts you in jail. You don't have any ownership in jail anymore. So take ownership, surrender it, admit it, and then own it. The O in majors is opportunity. If you want a major league life, you got to take advantage of opportunity when it comes. Opportunity doesn't always come knocking when you're ready. Doesn't always come knocking. So opportunity, are you prepared for what you've been praying for? Are you prepared for that opportunity? We say we want all these things. We say we want this. We say we want that. We say we want this dream. We say we want our 401k to look like this. We say we want this opportunity on the team. We say we want this job, right? But are you even prepared for it? Have you prepared the way that you need to? Have you done the habits? Have you been disciplined? Like, you have an opportunity. If it was given to you, would you be ready? And I think about this. A Lamborghini is a blessing. A keys to a Lambo would be a blessing. But if I gave them to you right now, what's your name? What's your name?
Micah.
Micah?
Micah.
Micah. How old are you? How old are you? 12. If I gave Micah the keys to the Lamborghini, it's a blessing, but it would become a burden in his life. He's not ready for it. He's not ready for the Lambo, right? Micah, that's nothing against you. You're just not tall enough yet. Like, we got to have peripherals already. Like, you're not ready yet. So there are things in your life. If they're given to you too early, if there's a blessing given to you too early, you're going to stop it. You're going to switch it. It's a burden now. Like, God is trying to do something in your life, but he can't give it to you yet unless he worked on you, unless you've been a major league player, unless you've been living a major league life and working on you. Working on you. Prepare that. Prepare your ground. Prepare your soil. Prepare your soul for the blessing. Don't make that thing that God's trying to give to you a burden. Don't crash your Lambo. And if you think, where's my Lambo? Where is it? Why haven't I gotten to it yet? You're not ready for the blessing. I wasn't ready for this mic. If I would have been given this mic 5 years ago, this would have been about me. This would have been about me. It's about him. I wasn't ready for this blessing. That I get to minister to you. That I get to come to Alabama. That maybe I'll be able to leave my job and do this full time. He's preparing me though. I want it. I want it bad. I'm making some money doing this. I'm speaking. I got 1,000 kids next week at a high school. But he still needs to work on me. There's some flaws in my business. There's some things that I'm not ready for yet to go full-time. I got a family to take care of. I got to put food on the table. My wife just left her job so that she could live out her dream and her purpose. She worked for 8 years at this salon. She started her own business in 2019. She did almost $250,000 in gross one year with 3 employees, working 4 days a week. When she was taking care of my behind. When I got done with baseball, and I didn't know who I was. Well, I knew who I was, but I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know my contribution. She bought the house for us. She paid the bills. She was working hard. And I was trying to figure out my life, doing real estate, selling travel. Now I'm selling solar full-time, which is amazing. It's a blessing that I get to be able to do this and speak. But she was taking care of us then. So when she came to me, when we bought our new house just recently, we finally closed on the loan, all the paperwork was done. She's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I had to step up and say, okay. But it wasn't the time for me to go, me too. It wasn't the time for me to go, babe, yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm done doing solar, so hopefully these speaking contracts come in. Dustin, you know how hard it can be. Hopefully the contracts come in, man. Man, so God's still working on me. I'm not ready for this blessing that He has for me. Like, He might tell me to put down solar in 6 months. He might tell me to put down solar in 2 years. I don't know. I've been praying about it, but I've gotten crickets. I haven't gotten anything yet about that one. That's okay. Keep working. He's still working on me. He still needs me to work on something. Maybe He needs me to hire somebody. Maybe He needs me to, get the flow better. Right? Maybe there's more things I need to learn from Jeremy. Maybe there's just I'm not ready for the blessing. Okay? MAJORS. Okay, so R. Here we go. The R, as we wrap this up, in MAJORS, is return on purpose.
Come on.
Return on purpose. This is one of my favorite. Everybody talks about ROI. Dustin and I talk about ROI. What's the ROI on the property? What'd you buy it for? What are you renting it out for? When's it going to be paid off? Like, we all want this ROI in life. We're all, when am I going to get my money back? How about we start focusing on ROP? Return on purpose this year. Like, what is this decision doing for your life? Is it giving you a better chance to obtain your purpose and your ultimate calling, or is it pushing you further away? When you go and hang out with that group, is that getting you further away from where you want to go, or is it getting you closer? So you got to step into your purpose and filter your whole life through this purpose. Return on purpose. Is this giving me purpose in my life? Is this getting me closer to my ultimate calling and to what God has really got for me? Is this getting me closer to my blessing? Like, filter it. There's a lot of neutral decisions you make in your life, like eating, brushing your teeth. Like, those are just neutral. But then there's things that matter. Like, I got to put it through this filter. I got to put it through the filter. Return on purpose filter. What is spitting out? You know what? That decision to go in that car and go smoke pot and go use that vape and go use that alcohol with that friend group, or to be in that subculture at work, that's getting me further from my goal, further from my purpose. So we got to decide, what return am I getting on the decisions that I'm making? And then the S in MAJORS, significant growth isn't always seen. Significant growth isn't always seen. There's going to be times in your life where you think there's nothing to post. When you think nobody's watching. When there's no stat sheet or scoreboard. 3 years I was hurt and injured on a professional team. I'll talk about that at 2. So stay tuned. That's what I'm going to talk about later. But I had to wake up every single day and make a decision. What is God trying to get out of me here? What purpose is He trying to do? So this significant growth, it isn't always going to be seen. There isn't always going to be an Instagram post with your boys, a trophy to hold up. But just because you're not blooming, that doesn't mean you're not blossoming. You can be blossoming underneath the surface without being seen in the outer world, because there's things that you got to work on to prepare yourself. Because leadership isn't always witness, you guys. Like, your leadership in life, it starts with leading you. Dustin already touched on that. You got to lead yourself well. You got to prepare yourself well. And every day that I went to rehab my elbow for 3 years, not 12 months, not 24, 36 months. Like 36 months, 8 to 2 p.m., 6 days a week. Why they kept me, I don't really know. That was God's hand. But when I showed up, I had a decision. Was I going to be like everyone else in rehab, recovering from their injuries, who pack it in at 11? Or was I going to do everything, every single thing that I possibly could? Was I going to hit the weight room? I was going to hit the rehab. I was going to hit the myofascial work. I was going to do the rollouts. I was going to do the tub. I was going to go run. I was going to go work out. Then I was going to go eat right. Was I going to maximize every single day? None of that was recorded. None of that was recorded. There was nobody taking photos of me in the rehab clinic in Peoria, Arizona, at this multi-million-dollar complex. But there's nobody coming, tweeting about me. There was no jersey with my name on it anymore. I just had these shorts, these gym shorts that I got to wear to work now. Be grateful for the gym shorts you got, because you got an opportunity, and that's what I saw. I got an opportunity to do something great here. That maybe when I get done with this rehab, I can come out a major leaguer. Maybe that's what God's going to do with my life, and I can shout his name from the mountaintops. Maybe that's what's going to happen. I was going to say this, but I got to tell it now. I was going to say this. I thought I was going to come out of that rehab as a major leaguer. I thought that was it. Like, I was going to shout God's name from the mountaintop. Like, he was using me. He was cultivating my soil. He was cultivating my soul. I was working on some things. I was doing all the lifts. I was doing all the work. I was like, God, clearly this must be it, God. Because I would be praying before I would go to rehab. I would be praying, God, heal me. Heal me. I'll shout your name from the major leagues. That's what I was praying. God, heal me, and I'll shout your name from the major leagues. This is what I got in return. Son, I'll heal you when you shout my name in the minor leagues. Son, I'll heal you when you shout my name in the minor leagues. And what he was trying to tell me those 3 years was, Lance, you want to go to the mountaintop and scream? There's less people out there. There are more people in the valley. Because when you go down into the valley, when you go down into the pitfalls, when you go down into the pain, into the rain, into the trials, that's where most people are at. More people are down in the valley, Lance. Your voice is going to echo more down here than it is up here. So shout God's name, shout Jesus' name in the minor leagues. Whatever it is that you're going through right now is for you. That pain is for you. And it's not just for you, it's for somebody else. You don't know what he's trying to do down there. I didn't know what he was doing for 3 years. But he was preparing my soul so that I could pick up the mic and tell you all that you got to start shouting his name down here. Don't wait till you're on the mountaintop to shout his name. Do it right now. Right now, your significant growth isn't always seen, y'all. Your leadership isn't always going to be witnessed. But every rep that you do, every time you're nice to somebody, every time you hold the door open for the old lady without expecting anything in return, doing it with a heart of grace, a heart for God, you're building your character. You're building your character wide, you're building it low, and you're building it high. And you're building the depth of your character every single time when nobody's watching. I'll see you too.
Yeah.
All right, guys, give it up.